Well, let's check test. I think we will be, we're rolling. Okay, let's see. Greetings, welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. This is Clint, your Hawkeye and your host for this evening. For a brief, let's share some things. It is the Ides of March. It is March 13th, 2022. And let's begin. Well, first, this isn't live. This is reported to my YouTube channel, and we'll see what happens at that point. This is, again, trying something a little different, something new, haven't tried before. Figuring out as we go. Let's share. Did I say it? Welcome, and I'm glad you're here. If it's even, well, not at this very second, but in the future, whenever you're watching this, thank you for checking this out and for sticking with this so far, sticking with me so far. So let's explore something. So the Ides of March 315 has something I've been thinking about a little while back. Made some notes, and let's get to sharing. Let's see. Bear with me. Let's share. Okay. Let's see. From John 16:33. Jesus speaking, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Okay. Ides of March. Julius Caesar, William Shakespeare. 6 years prior to the Gunpowder Plot, and 17 years after Jesuit Christopher Clavius's new calendar, the Gregorian calendar, named after Gregory the 13th, and instituted October 4th, 1582. You know, I did have a pause that. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. The earliest recorded performance of Julius Caesar is in the straw-thatched Globe Theatre, as seen by Thomas Platter on September 11th, 1599. September 11th being a significant date because in our recent, let's say approximately 10 years ago, this might be incorrect, Dr. Michael Heiser, trained at the Incognito Jesuit University of Pennsylvania, shared with the world the possible, if not probable, and if not most likely, birth date of Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus of Nazareth, as September 11th, 3 BC. Controversial? Sure. But it certainly, and goes against the grain of the common December 25th celebration of the dying and resurrecting sun gods of antiquity, and which most, and whether Christian, Roman Catholic, so on and so forth, tradition, and how many homes celebrate with jubilant expectation and experience, because it is tradition. But is it correct? And are we even called to do so? Is it in the Bible? It's good to ask questions. Why do people do what they do? Why do you do what you do? Why do I do what I do? More things to piss us off. Let's see. So William Shakespeare, Francis Bacon, Toby Matthew. Okay. Tragedy of Julius Caesar is synonymous with the soothsayer's warning, beware the Ides of March. So before we go further, I'm actually going to read a little portion from a brilliant book and I will have to exit this screen, stop screen, and share a Romans of Mass Destruction, how the Vatican created and enabled some of history's most monstrous serial killers, by Giovanni Agostino Cerrucci, also known Johnny Cerrucci. Page 74, or sorry, page 75, from chapter 3, Son of the Devil. By any other name, subheading. If there is one writer who is mandatory reading in nearly any school, anywhere, it is Shakespeare. Yet controversy abounds regarding the question, did he really exist? Is Shakespeare a pen name for someone else? If you've never heard of this being a controversy, which is important, if you've never heard this, then you've obviously don't even think to ask this question. We must ask this question because this is it's not just a rabbit hole, but how important is this? Okay, before we go down before that, we'll stick to the text. If you've never heard of this being a controversy, not only is it has its own special name, the Shakespeare authorship question. Dr. Helen Gordon, professor of English at Bakersfield, put it this way: actual facts about the William Shakespeare or of Stratford-on-Avon are scarce. During his lifetime, so 1564 to 1614, significant dates. No portraits of him were painted, no biography written about him, and no records kept of his education. He left no manuscripts in his own hand, no letter. Okay, let's say that, repeat that. Repete. He left no manuscripts in his own hand, no letters, no diary, no memoranda, no notes. We have only six shaky Shakespeare, shaky signatures on legal documents, property deeds, and a few public records unrelated to literature. The signatures that we do have are variously spelled, and various 4 different spellings are given, but none are spelled as the author's name was consistently spelled Shakespeare. So as what we would know and understand. So Shakespeare. The pronunciation indicated by the Stratfordian spellings would be Shakespeare, to differentiate it from the author's name, pronounced Shakespeare. Shakespeare's last will said nothing about a personal library, scripts, or royalties which his family might have inherited. Diana Price, in her here we go. Yeah. Diana Prince. Get the cuss buzzer ready. Diana Price, in her unauthorized biography of Shakespeare, lists several criteria with which we determine the authenticity of an author, such as personal letters, acknowledgement of their literary talent by peers, drafts of manuscripts, records of publication, proof of payments, and so forth. Of all the writers known to be living in the Elizabethan age, only William Shakespeare draws a complete blank. This lack of evidence compared to other writers of the time seems to suggest that William Shakespeare was a pen name. In light of air quotes, I'm holding a book, keeping my place, but William Shakespeare with air quotes. In light of such evidence, the constant reinforcing of a real Shakespeare by major media becomes as suspect as many other propaganda efforts. The fact that no other major or accepted source even mentions these concerns in any attempt at balance is almost conclusive in itself. Notice the supposed lifetime of William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1614. By this time, the kindling that Martin Luther had lit on November 1st, All Saints' Day, in 1517, was a full-blown prairie fire. One of the most controversial and likewise plausible contentions is that the Lord Chancellor of King James I of England, who was also James VI of Scotland, Sir Francis Bacon, was secretly William Shakespeare. Sources like user-edited Wikipedia display extreme derision towards the idea, calling this theory an alleged subterfuge, despite the academic consensus that Shakespeare wrote the works bearing his name. Okay, forced to acknowledge the questions concerning the inconsistencies of an historical Shakespeare is now in vogue to claim Earl of Oxford Edward de Vere, 1550 to 1604, was the legendary bard. As usual, when a contrived alternate reality needs shoring up, we call upon Tinseltown or Hollywood. In 2011, writer-director Roland Emmerich gave us Anonymous, which accurately showed the criticism surrounding the historical Shakespeare, but then deflected to De Vere. Emmerich is the mind behind such deeply researched historical thrillers as, of course, tongue-in-cheek, as Independence Day, 1996 film of yet another alien invasion movie, Godzilla, 1998, the Western computer graphics version starring Matthew Broderick, that most kaiju fans and all of Japan resoundingly despised, and The Day After Tomorrow, a 2004 film. This time, the end of the world comes from another ice age, shoring up the millions of years narrative we are told occurred before us. Perhaps the reason Bacon as Shakespeare is immediately dismissed is because one of the strongest sources of the issue was Bacon's best friend, confidant, and confessor, English Jesuit Sir Toby Matthew, who wrote to him in 1623, the most prodigious wit that I ever knew of my nation, and of this side of the sea, is of your lordship's name, though he be known by another. So close were they, in fact, that when relative Arnold Harris Matthew wrote his ancestor's biography in 1907, he titled it The Life of Sir Toby Matthew, Bacon's Alter Ego. If Francis Bacon was indeed William Shakespeare, then it's not a stretch to say that ultimately so was Jesuit Toby Matthew. Official sources on Matthew carefully avoid his being a Jesuit, but his proud kinsman was happy to put that to rest to confirm the father Toby Matthew's hand ultimately behind Francis William Shakespeare Bacon. Students of the 17th century literature may find some new facts recorded in these pages, and admirers of Bacon, and all persons to whom the Bacon-Shakespeare question appeals, will not fail to be interested in the correspondence between the philosopher and his alter ego. Should this attempt to rescue from oblivion the name of a remarkable personality prove acceptable to the literary world, I shall have no reason to regret the hard work which the undertaking has involved. That Sir Toby Matthew was ever a Jesuit has been strenuously denied by some members of the society. Nevertheless, it may be considered certain that he was a member of it at an early date after his conversion. By his will, dated 1614, the year of his ordination by the great Jesuit Cardinal Robert Bellarmine, he bequeathed the whole of his earthly possessions to the society. This fact by itself would not suffice to prove Sir Toby Matthew to have anything more than a friend and admirer of the society. Other facts, however, have come to light. At the Benedictine Abbey of St. Mary at Oulton in Staffordshire, the ancient English Benedictine nuns who were exiled during the reigns of Henry VIII are now represented. The community descends from the convent established at Ghent as an offshoot of the community settled at Brussels. In the library at Oulton Abbey is preserved the original manuscript. So preserve the original manuscript of an unpublished work of Sir Toby Matthews, written by him for the nuns at Ghent and dated the 1st of January, 1652. Let's jump to, so jumping ahead to page 79, the Sir Knight, the quote-unquote Sir and the quote-unquote Knight, comes from the English knighthood bestowed upon Matthew by none other than the commissioner of the authorized 1611 version of the Bible, quote-unquote Protestant King James I. The reason for the knighthood is even less Protestant, quote-unquote Protestant. Jesuit Father Toby was James I personal ambassador to Spain to arrange for his son Charles to marry Infanta Maria Anna, the daughter of King Philip III. In fact, the deal fell through, but Father Toby was knighted anyway. Protestant King, in quotes, Protestant King James found a match just as Catholic. Henrietta Maria of France, the daughter of King Henry the Fourth, the House of Bourbon. Perhaps you're now wondering just how Protestant the commissioner of the authorized version really was, especially given that he was raised by hyper-devout Catholic Mary, Queen of the Scots. Okay, we'll leave that. End screen. Stop screen. Yes. And actually, and then let's resume. Let us resume. Beware the Ides of March. Okay, put that aside. Gunpowder Plot, Globe Theatre. Jesuit Theatre, the Globe, modern globe mindset of the last 500 years. The Copernican model of cosmology. Is Earth and the place we live a globe, or is it a flat plane covered by a dome? Fascinating question, fascinating subject matter. The Ides of March, 315 or 315 or 315, a reference to Genesis 3:15, the King James Version, Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. The NIV says, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. The Ides of March message, beware the one. Okay, let's ask it as, that's a question, because there's a question mark I put here. Is the Ides of March message a question and a statement? Beware the one that crushes the seed of the serpent's skull. Is the Ides of March message, beware the one that crushes the seed of the serpent's skull? And I believe this to be true. Beware the one that crushes the seed of the serpent's skull. And of course, beware the Ides of March. Jesus' name and spelling. Well, first, it's not in these notes, but Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, the name of the Father, or the name given, as the Tetragrammaton, Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh, behold the nail, behold the hand, or behold the nailed hand. Jesus' name and spelling and meaning. We have the Yod, Hey, Vav, Shin, and Ayin. Yod, hand, work, or deed. The Hey, the window, or behold. Vav, hook or nail. Shin, eat, consume, destroy. Ayin, I see, experience. Therefore, does Jesus' name, and I would even add, behold the one with the nailed hand that eats, consumes, destroys the eye, the see, the experience. And I believe this is the name, this is the meaning of the name of our Messiah. The name of Yeshua HaMashiach, the name of Jesus of Nazareth. Matthew, okay, so we are now March 15th. Okay, I know this is jumping ahead to Passover material, which is fine. So Matthew 27:33-35, Golgotha, the place of the skull. Whose skull? And when they were And when they were come unto a place called Golgotha, Goliath, Golgotha, that is to say, a place of the skull. And they crucified him and parted his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken by the prophet. They parted my garments among them, and upon my vesture did they cast lots. The place of whose skull was Messiah crucified? Goliath of Gath, Goliath's skull, at the place of Goliath's skull. Who slew Goliath? We have David. And with Goliath's own sword, David cut off Goliath's head and brought it to Jerusalem. While they, let's see, so in jumping ahead, okay, why am I getting, okay, jumping down, okay. Jesus' name, behold an ale, okay. Luke 24:41-42. This was something else in scripture that puzzled, that brought to attention, that definitely beyond perplexed, but also, I don't know, I found encouraging. We have something going on here that, well, what is the Bible? What is? There are those that'll say, hey, read it, but it don't believe what it says. Will criticize it. Will say, read it and believe what it says. Read it and believe what it says literally. Read it, but don't take it literally. And then, of course, there's the issue of translation. So here we are today, 2022. So from Luke 24:41-42. And while they yet believed not for joy and wondered, he said unto them, that's Jesus said unto them, have ye here any meat? And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of honeycomb. And they gave him a piece of broiled fish and of honeycomb. Nuclear. I've got Godzilla, the King of the Titans. Okay. Let's see. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to splice in these scenes, which I did in my previous video. This will be, there's a scene. Okay, well, let's jump ahead. Godzilla, King of the Titans, I believe it was 2019. You have Godzilla taking on Ghidorah, the Hydra figure, where Godzilla literally defeats and also eats Ghidorah, and of course, we see it as Godzilla eating the middle head or the final head of Ghidorah, and the statement by another character, Jesus, good thing is on our side. There's many references, cryptic messages like this. Macbeth. Let's see. Of course, can't show this. Where you have the 1971 Roman Polanski film. Before the traitor jumping in chains, breaking his neck, stating, long live the king. Mad Max. Mad Max released May 15th. The Ides of May 15th, 2015. As per his tattoo given in captivity is 12,045 days or 33 years old. Each Schlenger, noticed Immortan Joe later in the film, is called Schlenger. The lizard stomp alludes to Mel Gibson. So the lizard stomp at the beginning of Mad Max. Fury Road. Let's see if we can catch up in the, okay, this good old GIF file. Boom. Stomps the head, eats the double-headed lizard. First time I saw that, I didn't even think of, or thinking about it, but without thinking about it intensively, I already knew there was a reference to, of course, this Mad Max being synonymous with Mel Gibson directing the 2004 The Passion of the Christ. You have the Genesis 3:15 reference right here. Caviezel as Jesus stomps the head of the serpent near the beginning of the film. Mad Max as per his tattoo, which I have listed down here. I'll come to. So forgive me the scrolling around. Let's see. Okay, Mad Max, Fury Road. Max, as a man restrained, the mark of Poseidon on his face. Crazy Schmeguit Schlenger. She's referring to Max. Here she also shouts Schlenger to a Morton Joe. You have, okay. The examination of Jesus, again jumping ahead to Passover material, which is fine. 33 years. You obviously divide that by 365. Gregorian 365. You come up with 33. No name, no lumps, no bumps, full of life clear, 2 good eyes, no busted limbs, piss okay, genitals intact. Significant, actually, for those that say Jesus, well, have stated that Jesus was otherwise not a male. Storos, stake or cross. Compared with the depiction, the Nikolai G depiction of the crucifixion on the crux commissa or Saint Anthony's cross. Here it is possible to see the patibulum carried by the victim, so it would be this cross piece. See, if we're not presented with where to even go with this. The image we've been given, the classic image, just as what was presented in 2004, the Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ. You'll never see, and therefore ask, is there any different way that men and people, and therefore Yahushua Mashiach, Jesus of Nazareth, was indeed crucified? So the patibulum carried by the victim through the streets in humiliation on the way to the fixing of the patibulum to the storos, or stake. Here you have Max in Mad Max Fury Road with the Poseidon trident on his face. Obviously Poseidon being Neptune. Let's see, Aquaman, Mad Max. So Aquaman, you have this particular scene in let's see, do I want to get into this? I know it's in the notes, but we can leave it at that. We do have the 8-pointed star, the mark of Cain, or the mark or symbol or signature of Anu, and its progression over the years from the 8-pointed star to what looks like 4 nails to 3, and eventually 3 nails. Very interesting. Which can also bring us to the question: was how many nails were used to crucify Jesus? 3? Or was it 4? And does that matter? Let's see. Why is this? Okay, so the head crushing symbolism. Why is that significant? Oh boy. I have it marked, and I think I will. Well, first let's connect this in a way to September 11th, Jesus's birthday. But first, let's go. Let's draw some parallels here. So the book of Jasher, which is mentioned twice by name in the 66th book. Pick your translation. Joshua 10:13 and 2 Samuel 1:18. You in the eighth chapter, chapter 8. So the night Abraham was born. It was the night that Abraham was born that all the servants of Tarak and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Tarak, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Tarak, they lifted up their eyes toward heaven that night to look at the stars, and they saw And behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and he swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight, and the sages understood this matter, and they knew its import. And just briefly summarizing, of course, they were afraid, considered not telling the king what they saw, King Nimrod, but decided to, because if the king would find out, then they would surely be killed. So they went to the king and bowed down to him to the ground. They said, may the king live, may the king live. We heard that a son was born to Terach, the son of Nahor, the prince of your host. And we yesterday night came to his house, and we ate and drank and rejoiced with him that night. And when your servants went out of the house of Terach to go our respective homes, we lifted up our eyes to heaven, and we saw a great star coming from the east. And the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up 4 great stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. And their declaration, and we knew by our wisdom that the proper interpretation thereof, that this thing applies to the child that was born to Terach, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the kings of the earth and inherit all their lands, he and his seed forever. What's interesting, now we're still in chapter 8, verse 32, and that's okay. So Nimrod responds, and it was in the 3rd day that the king sent to Terach, saying, send me your son for a price, as I spoke to you, and should you not do this, I will send and slay all you have in your house, so that you shall not even have a dog remaining. And Terach hastened, as the thing was urgent from the king, and he took a child from one of his servants, which his handmaid had borne to him that day, and Terach brought the child to the king, and received value for him. And Yahweh was with Terach in this matter, that Nimrod might not cause Abraham's death. And the king took the child. So Nimrod took the child from Terach, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground, for he thought it had been Abraham, or Avram. And this was concealed from him that day, and it was forgotten by the king. And it was the will of providence not to suffer Abraham's death. So we get the head, Nimrod crushing the head of what he thought was Terach's son, Abraham, whom a significant stellar event happened in the sky, witnessed by the wise men, the Magi, jumping ahead. Okay, I will stop the screen share. Let's jump ahead to, did I not? I apologize if, okay. Let's jump ahead. Illuminati Unmasked. No, that's not right. Share screen. Share screen. Illuminati Unmasked. The Johnny's first book. This is the book that I actually connected with Johnny through, and began writing to him, and eventually it led to proofreading Romans of Mass Destruction as well, but the previous book, Eaters of Children, the Hypocrisy Exposed, how access to power is granted through the rape, torture, and ritualistic slaughter of the innocent. Now, of course, that is as a title, that could be offensive to some, but the subject matter and the citations prove it to be true. The world we live in, the system we live in, well, this could bridge the gap to what I'm about to read you. So, the crushing of the heads, or Nimrod crushing, or what he thought he crushed the son of Terach, Abraham. So this is Illuminati Unmasked, which I believe I'm sharing the screen. So this is the good old Amazon page. The secret. So the Jesuit Extreme Oath, the Fourth Vow, also Okay, let's jump to it. The following has been taken from the European Institute of Protestant Studies. Pardon me. I'm also going to take a sip of water. My goodness. My goodness. When a Jesuit of the minor rank is to be elevated to command, he is conducted into the chapel of the convent of the order, where there are only 3 others present, the principal or superior standing in front of the altar. On either side stands a monk, one of whom holds a banner of yellow and white, which are the papal colors, and the other a black banner with a dagger and red cross above a skull and crossbones with the word INRI, so capital I, capital N, capital R, capital I, and below them the words Justum Necar Regis Impius, the meaning of which it is just to exterminate or annihilate imperious or heretical kings, governments, or rulers. Upon the floor is a red cross, at which the postulant or candidate kneels. The superior hands him a small black crucifix, which he takes in his left hand and presses to his heart. And the superior at the same time presents to him a dagger, which he grasps by the blade and holds the point against his heart, the superior still holding it by the hilt, and thus addresses the postulant. The superior speaks. My son, heretofore you have been taught to act the dissembler among Roman Catholics, to be a Roman Catholic, and to be a spy even among your own brethren, to believe no man, to trust no man. Among the reformers, to be a reformer. Among the Huguenots, to be a Huguenot. Among the Calvinists, to be a Calvinist. Among the Protestants, generally to be a Protestant, and obtaining their confidence, to seek even to preach from their pulpits, and to denounce with all the vehemence in your nature our holy religion and the Pope, and even to descend so low as to become a Jew among Jews, that you might be enabled to gather together all information for the benefit of your order as a faithful soldier of the Pope. You have been taught to plant insidiously the seeds of jealousy and hatred between communities, provinces, states that were at peace, and to incite them to deeds of blood, involving them in war with each other, and to create revolutions and civil wars in countries that were independent and prosperous, cultivating the arts and the sciences and enjoying the blessings of peace. To take sides with the combatants and to act secretly with your brother Jesuit, who might be engaged on the other side, but openly opposed to that with which you might be connected, only that the church might be the gainer in the end, in the conditions fixed in the treaties for peace, and that the end justifies the means. Jumping down, part of the response of the initiate, I do further promise, so it's declaring the oath, I do further promise to declare, I start that again. I do, one more time. Take 10 times 10 times 10. I do further promise and declare that I will have no opinion or will of my own, or any mental reservation whatever, even as a corpse or cadaver, prende ac cadaver, but will unhesitatingly obey each and every command that I may receive from my superiors in the militia of the Pope and of Jesus Christ, that I will go to any part of the world whatsoever I may send, to the frozen regions of the north, jungles of India, to the centers of the civilization of Europe, and to the wild haunts of the barbarous savages of America, without murmuring or repining, and will be submissive in all things whatever is communicated to me. I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, make and wage relentless war secretly and openly against all heretics, Protestants, and Masons, as I am directed to do, to extirpate them from the face of the whole earth, and that I will spare neither age, sex, nor condition, and that I will hang, burn, waste, boil, flay, strangle, and bury alive these infamous heretics, rip up the stomachs and wombs of their women, and crush their infants' heads against the walls in order to annihilate their execrable race. That when the same cannot be done openly, I will secretly use the poisonous cup, the strangulation cord, the steel of the poniard, or the leaden bullet, regardless of the honor, rank, dignity, or authority of the persons, whatever may be their condition in life, either public or private, and private as I at any time may be directed to do so by any agents of the Pope or Superior of the Brotherhood of the Holy Father of the Society of Jesus. And it goes on to declare some other things. Considering that these men who become our educators and train and who trained the likes of Justin Trudeau, the Joe Bidens, the Donald Trumps, well, pick your house or institution of higher learning. Speaking of which, the names of meanings of names, you have Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, son of Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Trudeau, Latin, Trudeau means I thrust. This was brought up in the March 4th Cerrucci team brief earlier this month. Of course, we continue to point fun at it, but think about that as a man, the highest office in my country, that appears to be a eunuch, that appears to be spineless, that appears to be an Addis male who's castrated or is neutered. And it's just funny seeing memes on social media where, he literally hears this ballless, spineless man, and yet he's been trained by those that have taken this oath. Himself a devout Roman and practicing Roman Catholic. Kathy O'Brien stated openly that that father, literally in a way, Pierre, Justin's father, is a professed Jesuit, or was a professed Jesuit. He died 2000, September 28th, the day after the Jesuit birthday. Let's see. Let's finish. Stop screen share. Today, okay, we've done Romans, we've done a mass destruction, Illuminati Unmasked, Beware the Ides of March. Let's jump to this. So, Genesis chapter 5. This is not original to me, but profound in its significance. We're given a list of names from Adam to Noah, and these names have meanings, which is why, like understanding what does Trudeau's name mean? I thrust. What does Putin's name mean? From memory, this might be a little. It has to do with the path or the way. Zelensky. Okay, let's revisit that. Putin, Vladimir Putin, big bad Vladimir Putin. Is he a maverick? Is he independent? Or does he serve Rome? Whom does he serve? With Jesuit Pope Francis alone, three personal visits to Rome, the Vatican, with Pope Francis I, and a specific phone call on Francis's birthday, December 17th, 2021, Putin made. Just pointing that out. Who really runs things? Vladimir Zelensky. Zelensky, I believe, has the name meaning of green. He's been seen infamously in his green shirt, battle fatigues and such. Let's see, what else? Back to, name meanings. Adam to Noah. Adam, man. And of course, fathers and sons. So Adam, Seth, Enosh, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, and Noah. So each of these names has a meaning. Adam means man. Seth means appointed. Enosh means mortal. Kenan, sorrow. Mahalalel, the blessed God, or blessed God. Jared shall come down. Enoch, teaching. Methuselah, his death shall bring. Lamech, the despairing or despairing. Noah, comfort or rest. You put the meanings together. Now this is Genesis 5. Genesis 5, pre-flood world. This is after Cain killed Abel. Anyway, the meanings. Put these together, you have a profound and meaningful, deeply meaningful message. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down teaching that his death shall bring the despairing comfort and rest. Post-flood, you get this message being divided at the divorcing of the nations, where Yahweh, I know we're getting into some, anyway, this message going out 70 different directions, thus the having multiple three-part or Trinitarian, no, not Trinitarian, but the Father, the Father, Mother, and Child, the Semiramis, Nimrod, Tammuz sources. Anyway, let's so we have the gospel message. We have, what have I got next? Jean de Brébeuf, Saint Jean de Brébeuf, one of the patrons, now one of the patron saints of Canada. Brébeuf brought to Canada by Samuel de Champlain back here approximately 1625. Brébeuf, let's see, I'm just going to look something up quickly. Brébeuf has a feast day September 26th in Canada, October 19th in the United States. So October 19th, the day after October 18th, 2019, the day after Event 201. But you have Brébeuf's death day. And let's see if I can share the screen. Pardon me. I know that there's going to be material that, of course, I've going to be thinking of later, that I going to be thinking myself as a dumbass for either forgetting. Let's see, am I sharing? Yes, I'm sharing the screen. And bear with me. Brébeuf. Now, I shared some of the fourth vow, the extreme oath. If Brébeuf declared those vows on top of his already the chastity, poverty, and obedience, so he would be a fourth vow Jesuit in North America. That came to North America to supposedly spread the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ among the indigenous. Obviously, you can see where I'm going. All you need to do is think of the residential schools. Think of and then tie this blood oath or this extreme oath of obedience. Think of what was done. So coming back, why would the Iroquois and the death that Brébeuf suffered on March 16th? So we went back to the Ides of March. So this is from let's see, Jesuits.global, Saint Jean de Brébeuf. You have after a handful of Jesuits on March 15th, 1649, were ambushed and captured by the Iroquois. After some preliminary torture, the Jesuits and the Huron captives were forced to run naked through the snow to a nearby village where others waited. The captives had to run the gauntlet, and then two Jesuits were led to two posts where they were to be killed. First, the captors heated a string of hatchet blades and then placed the red-hot iron on Brébeuf's shoulders. He did not yell for mercy, so his tormentors covered him with resinous bark, which they set aflame. He continued encouraging his fellow Christians to remain strong. The Jesuit captors cut off his nose and forced a hot iron down his throat to silence him. They poured boiling water over his head in a mockery of baptism, and then successfully scalped him, cut off his feet, and then tore out his heart. Brébeuf was 46 years old and had spent 20 years in New France. I still carry the question about a warrior society or culture, that the warrior class would be violent and towards any outsiders, and the question has to do with how did these black robes, how did these Jesuits ingratiate themselves, so get past essentially the warrior class, the Praetorian class of the indigenous groups, and then begin to live among them, and then begin converting them. And then, of course, with what message, right? Because, and this is the subterfuge, what message, what gospel, so-called gospel, did the Jesuit missionaries bring to the indigenous? And in Brébeuf's own, his wiki page, Wikipedia, or the user-edited Wikipedia, it tells you plainly that that Brébeuf, being a linguist, believed all people, that all languages and people groups stemmed or could be traced back to Babel, and I think this is true. And therefore, there'd be some. This is why the syncretism that the Jesuits applied enabled them past, and to enable them to ingratiate themselves in amongst all people groups. And I believe, in part, Revelation 13 is also about, is being specific about the Jesuit order. Let's see. Is there anything else I can share with you while? Okay, let's go back to stop the screen. Okay, all this being said, the one is there a true Christ? Is there a true Messiah? Is there a false Messiah? Think of Zechariah 11, the foolish shepherd and the good shepherd. And thus, which also makes me think of, read Zechariah 11 at the end of the chapter about the right arm being, the right arm being not broken, but afflicted, and the right eye being utterly darkened. Which God bears a darkened eye? One eye? Woden? Wotan? Wednesday? What day was Jesus crucified? A Friday? Or was it a Wednesday? Was he crucified on Woden's day, on the day of the God that has one eye? Interesting questions. And if we remember, just as I've mentioned in the last recording, which Jesus do I believe? Which if you believe in this one at all, which one? The Good Friday Jesus, the Zeitgeist Jesus. Of course, that's a reference to a 2007 or 08 film that presented the Age of Aquarius Jesus, December 25th Jesus, essentially. What about the Jesus that hangs from the papal staff, or the Pope's pectoral cross? I make a reference to the Osiris risen pose that the figure on the pectoral cross is in. Is September 11th. Okay, pause that. Back to the Wednesday crucifixion. Read the Gospels and John. There's a mention. Okay, you have to look it up for yourself. Do your homework. Don't take my word for it. Figure it out for yourself. There are 2 Sabbaths between the crucifixion and the day of resurrection. There are 2 Sabbaths. How does that work? How does that work on a globe Earth? How does that work on a flat Earth? September 11th. Michael Heiser, Jesuit trained, if not an ordained Jesuit himself, gave us the September 11th, 3 BC date. Why am I telling you this? On September 11th, we have the Revelation 12, and Heiser references this. A stellar alignment is given to us in Revelation 12. And if we are to, just like in Jasher, and what did the Magi see? They witnessed something in the sky that alerted them to, and which they bear the message to Nimrod. Nimrod crushed the head of, or called Tarak, because of who was born that night. We have, okay, where am I going? Sorry for the noise if something going on. Anyway, September 11th. We have the stellar alignment, the Virgin, Virgo, the 12 stars on her head, so a crown of 12 stars, the moon at her feet, and the sun in her womb. There's an 80-minute window that we're told, and is confirmed by software, 80-minute window in all of human history when this event took place. And it was the 80-minute window that took place on September 11th, 3 BC, which was also, if the Gregorian calendar stretched it far back, if you stretch it back, it was also Tishri 1, Rosh Hashanah, or the Feast of Trumpets, the day that fitting for the announcement of a king. What Scripture doesn't record, but the software does reveal, is that also Regulus, so the king's star, and the king planet Jupiter were in conjunction. And so, of course, it leads to the question, was this the star that the Magi in the East saw? Because it signified in the sky a divine royal birth. September 11th, 3 BC. And of course, being defined by Genesis 1:4, where the sun, moon, and stars are for signs and for seasons. We have Jesus being crucified at Golgotha, the place of Goliath's skull, the last, well, in symbol, the remnant of the Philistines, which can be traced back to Caphtor, and this a descendant of Ham. What else? Anyway, the Ides of March. Interestingly enough, George Clooney, altar boy, raised Roman Catholic, directed a film called Ides of March, and it was released. I'm just going to quickly look this up. It was October 7th. So you have the birthday of former Jesuit Superior General Vladimir Ladachowski. You have the birthday of Vladimir Putin. You have, no, it's not going to tell me. I'm just thinking I'm missing something if there's a feast day in there. So October 7th. Anyway, Ides of March, which of course I can't splice it in, which ends with Gosling's character. Beautifully shot. Cinematography is amazing. And of course with the late Philip Seymour Hoffman. But the final scene with Gosling being prepped, which is it a reference to that video of Bill Clinton looks like he's in a trance being prepped for an interview with the makeup artist patting down his face, and he's literally looking like he's in a trance. And you have Ryan Gosling. Okay, back to the Ides of March film. At the Okay, I have to look this up because it's Xavier University. Come on. Bear with me. Xavier University. I don't want to get this wrong. So was it Cincinnati, Ohio? Anyway, the fact that there's the X symbolism, but Xavier University. Anyway, let's bring it back. Okay, that went a lot longer than what I totally expected. Thank you for being with me on this Ides of March. And is there a big picture? I believe there is. Do not fear. Trust in the one that literally, well, it's going back to what I shared earlier. What's the symbolism? Why did Jesus request a piece of broiled fish? And that being the only explicit food that he ate. I believe it's a reference to Dagon. Jesus eats Dagon. Is Jesus the eater of Dagon? I think so. There are other accounts in his life. Anyway, I know that it's been okay. While we're fine. Let's jump in a little bit then. Jesus, who holds the keys to death and Hades. Pluto, I believe is so we have the trident, which is Poseidon or Neptune. We have the bident, which is Hades or Pluto, and we have the lightning bolt, which is Zeus. Think about that in symbolic terms. Jesus walking on water. Who is he? What's the symbolism? Or what about well? There's the baptism. There's the walking on water. There's the his authority over demons. The demons being asking for permission to be sent into the herd of swine. The swine, after being inhabited by the demons, running down the hill and rushing into the water, drowning. You have the Jesus saying to Peter and the temple tax, where Peter cast a line, caught a fish, and extracted. I can't remember what. I don't know if it's drachma or whatever the currency was from the mouth of the fish. You have you have Jesus being crucified on a Wednesday. You have Jesus holding the keys to death and Hades. So that you have this God man, whom I believe is the source. It's funny, I've not read this text, Hero with a Thousand Faces, by devout Roman Catholic Joseph Campbell, the late Joseph Campbell. But all hero stories are based on the God man, who literally descended to Tartarus, who descended to hell and redeemed all of mankind with his life, death, and resurrection. Think about that. I may be poor in how I present my material. I'm learning how to do this. This is like a demo tape. Maybe I'm learning how to talk about this public. I don't know. But if you followed this far or listened to this far, thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And I'm, of course, still learning how to do this. But if there's anything I can share and ask and even admonish, is to have courage and have hope, because you can. Because what did he say? Behold, I have overcome the world. Take heart. Come to me, those who are weary, and I will give you rest. Remember the message, the gospel message. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down, teaching that his death shall bring the despairing comfort and rest. Trust in him who has overcome, who's literally defeated all the other gods. In him you have an eternal hope. Thank you for being here. And with that, I will sign off. And again, just thank you. Bless you, your families. Bye for now.